What's up, my brothers from another mother? So this is for my Patreons. It's the piece of premium content that I promise you every single month. This piece today is going to be on optimizing male hormone levels and what I've learned. It's kind of been a personal pet project of mine over the years to, of course, become the best version of myself. And one of the ways that I found I need to do that is to pay a lot more attention to my body chemistry and what it says. So I had an entirely different video planned this month for you guys, but I decided to switch it up last minute because I got my test results back from I guess it's a hormone replacement clinic or a testosterone replacement clinic that I visited about a month ago. I got some results back, so I want to share this with you because I know this will add a ton of value to you. I've learned so much from going through this, so I guess part of this is me giving you what I've learned and also helping me kind of distill it so I can let it sink in a little bit better. So let me start out by saying the reason why I went through this exercise was, I'm going to say for the last 6 to 12 months, I've been feeling definitely weak in the gym, not able to push as much weight, pull as much weight, injuries in my body, like very stiff and sore knees, tired at night, like passing out 7 o'clock on the couch while I'm watching a movie with my daughter. Like, that's totally not like me. Not waking up in the morning with a boner like I normally would. Lower sex drive in the morning. Just storing more body fat around my abdomen and less of a pump when I go to the gym. Now, I just came back from the gym, so I'm a little bit pumped right now as I'm talking to you, feeling, good and strong. But it's only been 4 days since I've adopted the changes that the clinic gave me. So that's the background. That's why I decided to go through this process, and of course why I'm sharing it with you. So I'm not new to this. To be honest with you, I dug this up. This is the World Anabolic Review from 1996, so about 21 years ago, and I got this in my early 20s when I was really heavily into bodybuilding, like picking up weights, and I probably had a condition back then that would be defined as bigorexia, where you never think you're big enough. I think I probably maxed out around 205 pounds, very low body weight, like 7% body weight. I was big. Like, if I could show you pictures from back then, you'd say that I looked like a mini sort of Arnold. So completely unreasonable for me to do anything like this, but I'm glad I have this book because I fully understand all the different anabolics, what the pros and cons are, so on and so forth. I've never taken steroids before. The most I've ever done was I was in Mexico once. I bought a injectable Decadurabolin, but when I saw the size of the needle, the gauge of the needle, there's no way I was going to stick that in because it's a huge needle. So what I did was I basically put it, like I squeezed it out of the syringe, put it on my fingers, and I rubbed it in my knee joint, because Decadurabolin is actually very good for lubricating joints and drawing water into joints. It's also very anabolic, so it helps you grow a lot of muscle and strengthen muscle, but that's not why. But that's not the benefit that I got out of it. So to answer the questions that have come up from people in the past in my comments, and again, this is a private video for you guys for the time being. Yes, I'm natural. I've never taken steroids in any sense aside from rubbing Decadurabolin on my knees. So there's that. So background here. Had this test done about 4 years ago, and at this time, when was it? It was December 2014. This isn't a full complete test. So one of the things that I found is family doctors are pretty useless when it comes to stuff like this, trying to diagnose and assist. My family doctor is a woman, and I'll just be honest, she doesn't really seem to care about the results. I went there wanting to find out about my blood hormone levels. She ran the test, she looked, and she goes, yeah, they look pretty good. It doesn't seem like anything's wrong. But here's the difference between the old test and the new test. So let me just minimize this over here because I put this all in an Excel spreadsheet to kind of make it easy to decipher. The main things that I was concerned about let's go back here. So the main things that I was concerned about on here, this is the recent test from the doctor, was, of course, were my testosterone levels high enough? Because to me that indicated I was weak, I was strong, I wasn't strong, I was storing body fat around my waist, not waking up in the morning with boners, stuff like that. Those are usually good indications that, hey, maybe it's time for TRT, which is testosterone replacement therapy. I have a few friends in their 40s that are on it, and they swear by it. They say it's a game changer, so I was interested in investigating. So this was kind of my investigative procedure. What I found was I don't need it yet anyway. Not that I'm opposed to it, but I don't need it yet. All of my levels were excellent. By far, the physician said that I was his healthiest patient currently on his roster. but he made some recommendations. So everything as far as blood platelets, white blood cells, red blood cells, insulin levels, good fats, bad fats, HDL, LDL. Some of this may not make very much sense to you guys. I would encourage all of you to check your blood work through a qualified physician that actually knows how to go through this. So everything was great with the exception of two areas. One was I was very low on vitamin D. Vitamin D is, where the hell were you? Vitamin D was like off the chart at the bottom. There it is. So the biochemistry should be between 75 and 250 nmol, which I think is nanometers per liter. I was at 59, which is very low. I think I put that on here. Let me show you the screen. It might be better. Yeah, here it is. So I was at 59, and it should be around this range over here. So for guys that are north of the tropics, if you're not getting enough sunlight on your skin, he was saying even guys that are contractors, roofers that work on roofs during the summer, shirts off, sunshine on them, they still don't get enough vitamin D. So in North America, I guess if you're north of like the tropic of whatever it is, Capricorn or Cancer, you know, like north of Florida, South Carolina, you know, that sort of area on the map, you're going to want to supplement with vitamin D throughout the year. I don't usually take it. I've taken it in the past in the wintertime, but super low levels. He said that's going to help your body store fat. Sorry, it's causing my body to store fat. It's also making it hard for my body to manufacture testosterone naturally. And the other problem that I had was I've got very high estrogen, which is fucked. So estradiol is what they test for. On my original test, it didn't show up because they didn't test for it. My doctor didn't ask for it on this original test. The hormone clinic does test for it. They draw a shitload of blood, so they test for it. But on men, it should be less than 162. I was at 159, which is fucking way too high. He said that one of the symptoms when you've got estrogen levels that are too high will be tender nipples. I don't have them, or I haven't had them in probably a while, about 5 or 6 months, but I've had them before. I don't have bitch tits. Like I've got more man pecs, you know, to a pretty strong degree. I'm lucky that way. But I don't know if it's stuff in my diet. I won't know until I make the changes, which I'm going to show you in a moment. I don't know if it's stuff in my diet, stuff from environment, or testosterone in my body aromatizing to estrogen, which is a natural process in the human body. They talk about it a lot in the World Anabolic Review and the sorts of things they do to counter gyno, which is, it's called gynomastica, I think it's called, which is basically bitch tits, where you see bodybuilders or even men that have like female breasts. You'll see them in the change room at gyms, especially older guys. But that's probably one of the things he says. It's creating the weakness in my body, the storage of the extra body fat, you know, weakness in the gym, the lack of pump, lack of muscularity. My testosterone levels are actually quite high, which is a good sign. So the bioavailable testosterone in 2014 was 7.2. It's actually higher now, several years later at 9.2. The range is 3.6 to 11.2. He was telling me that when he puts his patients on testosterone replacement therapy, which is one called testosterone cypionate, TEST-CYP, which is bioidentical to human testosterone, he aims to get his patients up to about 11 or 12. So I'm at 9.2, which he says is high enough that he wouldn't prescribe TRT to me. So I'm okay with that. You know, I'd rather manufacture it naturally in my body. And my levels have gone up since a few years ago. Interesting thing that I did was I looked up the soy boys here. You guys probably heard about this test where BuzzFeed tested the testosterone levels of these fucking writers over here, these left-leaning fags. I'm just going to say that because it's a private video. But these are the guys here that they tested, and they came back with ridiculously low levels. These guys are all in their 20s. I think they're around 5.2, which is 85 to 100-year-old men. So super low. So back to this point over here, I just did that for comparison because I was curious, but they were at 5.4. A few years ago, 7.2. Now I'm at 9.2. Basically, I know that lifting heavy weights in compound exercises works. So I aim to do a lot of pulling stuff, like heavy rows, heavy pull downs, bench press, pushing stuff, and deadlifts and squats. Those are what trigger testosterone production in the testes. So those are always good exercises to do. If you guys aren't doing those, aim to do those more. and fewer of high repetition classes, you know, jumping around classes. I know I've had a conversation with one or two of you guys privately in some of the Q&A discussions that I do privately at the start of the month about working out, self-care. Avoid classes. I always say, pick up heavy shit, put it down. It's as simple as that. Bench press, rows, pull downs, weighted pull downs, you know, squats and deadlifts. Those are the key exercises you want to do to boost testosterone in your body, which also burns fat, by the way. Nothing will burn fat more than boosting testosterone and doing heavy compound exercise. So that's bioavailable. Vitamin D I already talked to. Take supplementation. I'll show you what I'm taking right now in a moment. Cortisol was really, really interesting to me because the reference range that they recommend, and they did test for this in 2014 when I had it done before, the reference range is 170 to 540. Cortisol is a stress hormone in the body. Your body creates more cortisol, which can put it in a catabolic state, which means that it basically burns muscle. So there's anabolic states where you're creating muscle, and there's catabolic, which means that you're basically burning muscle, using it as an energy source. Cortisol is not good for you, basically. You don't want high levels of it. It's usually coming from stress, like stress in your life. So a good indication that you've got stress in your life is if you've got high cortisol levels. 170 to 540, I'm at 239, which is pretty much in the lower range because 170 is at the bottom. But a few years ago in 2014, and this will be an interesting story to share with you guys because I know that I've talked about this before, those of you that have watched my channel for a while and supported it anyway. 2014, around that time, I remember I had these tests done because I wasn't sleeping. And a buddy of mine said, you know, go get your blood work done. I'll take a look at it for you. He was kind of a health expert, still is. My doctor looked at it and goes, yeah, everything looks good. I showed it to him. He goes, well, there's a few areas you can change, and made some recommendations for sleeping better. But I remember at this time now, as I go back to it, I think the biggest source of stress for me was two things. One, I had a big change in my office life with a lot of things that came down from legislation that forced us to pivot the business, which was very stressful. But I think also my personal life, it was around the time that I was still dating that single mom with the two boys. And I'm really glad that that ended because that was a fucking stressful point in my life. And it just goes to show you guys, if you're in a bad relationship, you know, I was still very blue-pilled, very plugged in. It goes to show you if you're in a bad relationship, it can be taxing on your body. My stress levels were quite a bit higher than cortisol. Okay, so I'm going to move on to testosterone. This is a different measurement. This is bioavailable testosterone. I believe this is free. The levels here were pretty close to the same. Levels here are higher though in that category, which still shows that they're not decreasing, which is all I want to see. I mean, if they're decreasing, that's when I would consider pushing for testosterone replacement therapy. Estradiol, I already talked about, which is estrogen. I'll get into ways to reduce that in a moment. And creatine is, it's kind of important because I supplement with it. I don't have the tin here, I should have brought it, but I'm going to show you the stuff that I supplement with. But he mentioned that you don't want to get too high in the upper levels because it can cause kidney problems, maybe kidney stones. He's okay with it around 114. Recommendation he made is take creatine instead of in one shot, maybe throughout the day in lower dosages. That appears naturally in things like red meat, by the way, so it's not like it's, you know, some foo-foo supplement. So there's the results there. If you have any questions, guys, comment below. Let me know what you have. What I have been eating for the most part is fats, animal protein, dairy, vegetable matter, and I've got a bit of a sweet tooth. I don't eat much in the way of carbohydrates. I do eat some pastas, but they're mostly egg noodle pastas. I like my cheeses and milk, but I do consume grass-fed dairy only. So free-range grass-fed dairy is the only thing that I'll buy, so I'm okay there, I think. Animal proteins, I'm not that particular with making sure I source animal proteins from sources that are like free-range grass-fed beef, for example. So I'm gonna have to be more particular. I'll show you the next page in a second on that. And animal fats, like I eat all, like guys, it's not uncommon for me for once a week to eat an entire pack of bacon. And my cholesterol levels on this test over here came back very good. So all the bullshit you hear about just eat egg whites and don't eat the yolks, I eat the full egg, okay? To eat 2 or 3 hard-boiled eggs in the morning for me is pretty natural. I do it on a regular basis. Cholesterol levels are fine. By the way, testosterone is manufactured from cholesterol in your body. So you need cholesterol, you need fats. Butters, grass-fed butter is good for you. I'll get into this other stuff over here in a minute. But eating a pack of bacon is not going to kill you, you know, on a weekly basis. Obviously, my numbers came back good, so you know you want to check your own doctor if you've got health concerns there. But those are the things that I have been eating. Let me move on to what I found when I was looking for estrogen foods. Actually, before I do that, I'll show you the supplementation that I take. So there's casein protein, which is made from egg. This is a more slow release protein. It's good to take at nighttime before you go to bed. That's one recommendation that I'd make for you guys. Another one is whey protein, which is I think made from dairy products. This stuff is good after workout because you're of course going to need about 1 gram of protein for 1 pound of body fat if you want to grow muscle. One of the mistakes that I've made, actually here, I'll show you this first. MCT oil is very good for you. This is the stuff you hear about in bulletproof coffee. So if you like coffees in the morning, you can splash some of this in. That's what I use it for. I put it on salads, I put it in coffee. I put it in my shakes now, so I just came back from the gym. I'll just splash some here in my shake. Down a little bit of that for a sec. But this stuff's very good for you. Good for your brain, helps remove brain fog, good for your body. So I'll move on from that. This is one thing that I've been taking a lot of that I think has probably contributed to some of the high estrogen levels. I found out that estrogen fueling foods include flax, so seeds. And fellas, this is a giant bottle of flaxseed oil. I've been eating flaxseed oil like crazy. This one's brand new. I just bought the damn thing. So I'm gonna have to give this to my chick because I know that she'll use it for salads and stuff. But stay away from seeds. And I've been consuming quite a lot of flax seeds. I just put it in my shake. I'll put it on my salad. Sometimes I'll do like a parfait in the morning. Avoid stuff like this. I know that it's good for, like oils are very good for men especially, but stay away from flaxseed oils. I just learned that that's crap for you. So those are the supplements that I have been taking. Now, let me see here. I'll go over foods that fuels estrogen creation in your body, or maybe the aromatization of testosterone to estrogen in your body. So seeds, flax and sesame especially. I bolded out the stuff that I have been eating a lot of. Fruit. I don't eat a lot of, that should be apricots, sorry. I don't eat a lot of fruit. So apricots, oranges, strawberries, peaches, but I have eat a lot of dried fruits. I love dried mangoes. Sometimes I'll smash an entire bag back in the evening rather than eating potato chips. But that's obviously an estrogen, creating type of food. Like it's going to encourage your body to either convert testosterone into estrogen through the process of aromatization, or the food itself, because it might have estradiols on it, will convert into estrogen in the male body. Vegetables like yam, carrots, and alfalfa. Soy especially. You've heard about soy boys. We make fun of them all the time. So tofu, miso soup, soy beverages, things like that. I've stayed away from most of this. I used to have miso soup a lot when I would go for sushi. I probably haven't had it in about a year, so I know to stay away from that. Dark rye breads, apparently. Legumes like lentils, peas, etc. Chickpeas. I love hummus. Hummus is made from chickpeas, so now I got to stay away from hummus and chickpeas. Sugar is definitely not good for you. Anything that's sweet. And conventional meats like farm-raised meats and chickens and beef that aren't free-range grass-fed, stay away from them. They hormone inject the shit out of them. The food that they give the animals, like for example, if you're eating beef and it's corn-fed beef, the corn usually comes from Monsanto, which is genetically modified feed. They give it to the cows, which are stuck in pens. They're not grass-fed, and now we eat them. All that shit, all those hormones, and even though it tastes like a good steak, it's not going to be as good for you as conventionally grass-fed, free-range meat. So I'm going to make a conscious effort to try to find one of these. There's all kinds of things in Ontario. So I live in Toronto, Canada, but there's all kinds of things in Ontario where we've got these Mennonite farms where you can basically mail order meat. It probably costs more than going to the store. In fact, I can almost guarantee it probably costs more. But based on the results that I'm getting and how I felt for the last 4 days with the changes that I've made, I'm definitely going to switch to not farmed meat. So grass-fed, free-range meat. Conventional dairy, again, so farm-raised conventional dairy where they have the cows standing in the metal stalls and they just have the milkers that come along that milk the crap out of them. And tap water. This is another big one too, guys. I mentioned this on the private Facebook page, but a lot of, all water treatment plants cannot filter out for hormones. So all these millions of women that are taking birth control pills and pissing down the toilet, all those estradiols and all the estrogen hormones are going into the water system. They go through the treatment plants, they filter out everything that's undesirable, except for they can't get out hormones. And then they throw more shit in it like fluoride and other crap that's not good for the body. And then you drink it out of the tap water. And I drink a lot of tap water. So one of the things he mentioned to me was stay away from tap water. Avoid waters that especially come in plastic bottles. You want to drink out of glass bottles because plastics have the capacity to inject estradiols and so on and so forth into your food or your fluids, so stay away from those. And you know, again, especially tap water. I've got a reverse osmosis water filtration system in my house that I haven't used for the last probably 2 or 3 years. And it was because every 2 or 3 months the filters would clog up, and I got tired of spending $150 to buy new filters because the city water is so polluted. I just got a Brita. Well, lo and behold, I'm pretty sure that one of the things that's contributing to the toxins in my body, which are creating the, you know, the elevated levels of estrogen, and only time will tell because my next test is going to be in 4 months, so I'll share the results then, is cutting out all of these things and making these modifications. So we'll see if I can get those things down. Estrogen reducing foods include broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, bok choy, and kale, collard greens, and turnips. So basically dark green leafy vegetable matter. Mushrooms, red grapes, whole grains, and green tea. I gotta check my spelling before I present this. Also, you want to avoid high glycemic foods like pastas, breads, etc. They're all converted into sugar in the liver and they fuck with your hormones and insulin levels. So I don't eat a lot of this at all whatsoever, so it's good as far as what my results came back at. But if you're eating high glycemic foods, again, pastas, breads, even fruits are converted into sugar through the process in your body, through the process of digestion, and that can really mess with insulin levels and your hormones. Again, avoid plastics and storing food in plastic containers. Another thing I learned kind of through this investigation is storing something like tomato sauce in a plastic Tupperware container and sticking it in the fridge converts it into estrogen in that process of just sitting there. So just be aware of that. Another thing that I came across, self-care items. Actually, speaking of self-care items, I'll link in the description below of this video for you guys. I had Ben Greenfield give me some great video content on how to boost testosterone naturally in men. Check that video out. There's a lot of nuggets in there as well. But one thing that came up time and time again is these self-care items like body wash items for men and women are chock full of all kinds of xenoestrogens, from plastics to parabens, stuff like this. Anything you see on the packaging that's methyl, butyl, ethyl, propyl, heparyl, etc., those are all parabens. So stay away from those because they are estrogenic in the male body. You know what? I'll be honest with you. For the last little while, I don't even bring soap to the gym anymore. I'll go sweat it out in the sauna, and then I'll go take a cold shower, which is really good for men, by the way, taking cold showers. Best time to do is 9 o'clock in the morning. Just shower your front, especially get it on your balls, because it helps to produce extra testosterone in your body. But just don't use any of this stuff, you know, avoid it. You're like, for thousands of years when we would bathe as men, we would go into, you know, rivers and lakes and things like that. And we didn't have hot water. So I think it's really important to surrender to the origin of mankind and, you know, take care of your body in that sense and stop putting this shit on your skin just to think that we can smell good for women. All right. So there's those things. So these are the recommendations that the physician also gave me, and I have some notes here. So things to change to lower estrogen and increase testosterone. R-lipoic acid. This is in the fridge section of your natural health food center. It's not cheap. This stuff was about 50 or 60 bucks. So this stuff, you take it with a main meal. These are, it's a 300 milligram. What are the tablets here? There are 60 tablets in here. It doesn't say. I think it's 30 milligram or 300 milligram tablets. There you go. You take those with your main meal. That's going to help lower estrogen and improve testosterone. So high dose R-lipoic acid. Boom. Okay, that's always good for guys. That's the first thing. That's new. He also prescribed me DHEA. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's DHEA is the compound. This is illegal in Canada. You have to have a prescription to get it. So I have a prescription. The doctor gave it to me. These are 25 mil tablets. Yeah, they're 25 milligram tablets. Very low dose. I was looking online on Amazon and health food stores, and you can buy these in the US, 50 milligram, 100 milligram. He says that they're illegal in Canada because They're good for fat loss, which is one of the problems that I've had, is storing fat around my belly lately. And it's also a precursor to male and female hormones. So if males take it, it's good to boost testosterone and reduce estrogen. If women take it, it's good to boost estrogen and lower testosterone in them. So it works positively in the male or female body depending on who's taking it. But this is produced naturally in the body. Body tolerates it very well. The next time I'm down in the States, I'll be buying some of this because it's way cheaper. This 3-month supply cost me $90, and they're only little PP 25 milligram tablets. I can probably get twice as much in the US for half the price. So if you're in the US, guys, I'd recommend taking this as a supplement. I'll report back in about 3 months when I do the next series of blood work, of course, to find out how it's affected my blood levels. But honestly, for the last 4 days, even with the changes that I've made here, I had an amazing workout in the gym today, pumped, felt good. I've been sleeping better. I had amazing sex this morning. So it, like, honestly, like, all of this stuff does work. Just pay attention to it. There's that. Krill oil, you definitely want oils for your body, for the male body, because a lot of these things like cholesterol and oils are used in the body as a function of creating testosterone and, of course, the body's natural ability to reduce estrogens out of it. So krill oil is very good. That's one thing I'm taking. Zinc citrate, 50 milligrams a day is probably where you want to stop. He recommended zinc plus cryosin. Cryosin is spelled C-H-R-Y-S-I-N. I looked it up. In lab tests, it does very well to reduce estrogen in Petri dish and lab tests, but it actually doesn't do a very good job in the human body to suppress estrogen, but it's marketed as an estrogen suppressant. I didn't bother to get it simply because I found out, you know, for $90 for that tablet, and it's not effective in the male body, I skipped it. Vitamin D, D3 specifically, 1,000 UI tablets. I take about 5 of these a day now. He recommends 5,000 UI in the wintertime for men if you're north of the tropics. Spread it out throughout the day. Apparently it can constipate you if you're not careful. So, you know, you could do like 2 in the morning, 2 at lunch, and 1 later on in the day. I tend to avoid taking them at night just because my theory is your body creates vitamin D naturally from sunlight. Sun starts to tail off around 6, 7 o'clock, so I don't take these late into the evening. So I tend to kind of like follow circadian rhythm. This is something I've always taken, which I found is quite useful. It's called CLA. If you can see that, conjugated lantonic acid. I'm not probably pronouncing that correctly, but that's good for weight management and belly fat. And I've always found that to be fairly effective. This is good too. Turmeric in men's bodies. It reduces inflammation, helps with joints and other kind of conditions as well. He also recommended cinnamon as well for men. So in the morning, I put cinnamon on my coffee now along with the MCT oil. Cinnamon's actually very good for men and balancing hormone levels to increase testosterone and reduce estrogen. So there's turmeric. And last but not least, most importantly, he mentioned omega-3s. You can grab these from Costco. They're super cheap. I take about 2 to 3 of these with every meal. So I'm taking about 6 to 8 tablets a day. These are actually pretty small. You can see they're 50% smaller than the big ones because the big ones most people choke on because they're so damn big, but these ones are a little bit smaller, so you have to take more of them. But omega-3s come from fish. This stuff's good for brain, heart health, all that sort of stuff. Now, the omega-3s I haven't been taking, the vitamin D I haven't been taking, the DHEA I haven't been taking, the arlopoic acid I haven't been taking, the krill oil I haven't been taking. So all I've been taking really that boosts testosterone in men is zinc. That's it. This stuff over here, I haven't been taking. So we'll find out what the results are in about 3 months' time. I would encourage you guys, if self-care matters to you, do this kind of stuff. You know, I get very nerdy and detailed when it comes to certain things. I've probably mentioned before on the channel, I get my oil checked on my cars for contaminants and levels of different metals and things because it lets me know if there's something that's going to fail on the engine. So why not do the same thing with your body and check your blood levels? The tests are not expensive. The blood work on this one was $183. Now in Canada, I know a lot of people go, well, doesn't the government pay for healthcare in Canada? Fuck no. Yeah, maybe if you're, you know, a single mom giving birth or something like that, you'll get your doctors taken care of. But for male hormone stuff like this, the clinic that I went to, your family doctor should be able to offer some help. Mine was useless. I've got a female family doctor. I should probably find a male family doctor. But I found a clinic specifically, and they're called here in Canada, what are they called? It's like Health and Longevity Clinic is what this one is. It's called the Gamma Center, mine. But these guys are specific in their treatment for hormone levels. An endocrinologist, I believe is a pronunciation, is somebody that specializes in prescribing more stuff for hormones. So things like growth hormone, they can prescribe. This guy doesn't have the capacity to prescribe that. So he can prescribe testosterone, DHEA, which I have. Again, I am not on testosterone replacement therapy. I have a precursor, which is called DHEA. You guys in the States, my American friends, can buy it over the counter for free. Well, you can't buy it for free. You have to pay for it, but you know what I'm saying. But anyway, I hope that video offers some insight to you. Check your hormone levels and compare them back to back, where you were, where you're going. Look for things like cortisol, which is a stress hormone. Look for good levels, healthy levels of testosterone. Make sure your insulin's solid, your cholesterols, if you've got HDL cholesterol, LDL, non-HDL cholesterol. I've always been good with cholesterols. You know, he said my body operates at a very high level there. The biggest problem that I had was too much estrogen and very low vitamin D. Vitamin D makes it hard for your body to balance its levels, so that might contribute to it. I suspect things like consuming things like flax oils and the certain foods that I mentioned earlier in the video, like dried fruits, you know, probably help converting my estrogen levels. So I really want to see if I can get them down. I think that's it. I don't really have anything else to cover on this video. I could ramble on, but what's the point? I think you guys get the idea. I hope that all helps and offers some insight, and you guys are getting some good value out of these premium pieces of content for my Patreon supporters. I really, really appreciate you guys supporting the creation of my work and these more detailed videos where I get to share on a more personal level things that I do that help me become a better version of myself. So I may share this at some point with the rest of the community in the future, but for the time being, it's private. It's for you guys. Smash the like button and comment below if you have any other questions. I will follow up. My next appointment is in March on my progress, so let you guys know how I'm doing. And again, I encourage you to check out your own levels. Have an amazing day. Peace.